So yes, you say that you're going to die for your child, but the real challenge is, would you live for your child? Children will remember more what you do than what you say. Your child will become what you are. So you be what you want them to be. Health is the tectonic plate that your life rests upon. This is a quote I heard a few years ago. And when I thought about it deeply, I realized how important that was. It means that if you don't have your health, then you have nothing. You can't go to work properly, you can't look after your kids, you can't be a good husband, a friend, brother, sibling, son. Everything in life depends on your health. Health is the tectonic plate that your life rests upon. So today I'm going to be talking about my weight loss journey, and we're going to go right from the beginning all the way to where I am today. Growing up, in the early years, I remember as a young child that health was something that was pushed in our family. It's not something that was done every single day or every week, but I remember memories where on the third floor of my home, me and my siblings and my dad used to make us do stretches in the morning, and sometimes he used to be doing press-ups, and I just remember that at one point, one memory was he was doing press-ups and my younger sister was on his back and he was doing press-ups with her on his back, and I just remember at that time, I just remember being very impressed by that, and I felt this is something that I want to be able to do one day as well. And I remember certain times in my childhood where we were doing exercise together on and off, and it wasn't something that was done consistently, but I clearly remember these memories. So when I was young, it was something that was pushed upon, and when I started going to the gym, I realized that my dad did used to go at some point, and stories of people when they found out who my dad was, that they remember him going to the gym or remember him going and training at certain points when he was younger as well. This grew aspiration in me. This is something that I want to do. I want to be recognized for being healthy and going to the gym, and yeah, so that in terms of early years, that is what I remember. In college, I remember joining the gym at a very young age. Mostly we did that because we were bored. We didn't really have much to do outside of going to the college, and even then we never used to go to all our lessons. So we used to go gym quite often, and the circle that I became friends with, we used to join the same gym. So it was a male-only gym, and we used to go sometimes even twice a day. That's how much time we had on our hands. And I just remember one story where, and the point I'm trying to make here is that there was literally no science behind what we were doing. We were just showing up, maybe doing a little research, looking at what other people were doing in the gym, and just copying them. And there was no science behind it. We didn't really know about dieting, and how dieting was probably the most important part of going to the gym and ensuring that you eat the right types of food to enable your muscles to grow. So I remember one story where we were going in the sauna. So there was a sauna at the gym, and at least once a week we used to go in the sauna. And there was this story I remember where there was no science behind this. I got these wraps that you'd get to wrap your hand around when you were doing boxing, and I thought, if the thought behind it was that if I wrap it around my stomach, then I'll go into the sauna, then all the sweat will be focused on my abs area, and I'll just sweat that part out, and when I come out and I do this consistently for a number of weeks, then I'll target my abs, and my abs will be a bit more prominent when people see my stomach. So the first time I did that, I was wrapping it up, and it took me a good 5 minutes to get it done. And coincidentally, the time we were using that sauna, that instance, we walked into the sauna, and there was this older person there, and he was quite well known in the community. He was an athlete in karate. He was black belt. He runs his own school, very well known, and he broke a number of world records at the time as well. And as soon as I walked in, he just looked at me, and he spoke to me in Gujarati, but basically just said, "What on earth are you doing?" And I tried to explain to him what I was trying to do, and he said, "Go out the sauna, take it off, you look stupid." And my friends were there as well at the time, so they witnessed me first putting it on, and they were also saying, this is not going to work. And then when I went in the sauna, they were there when he said that, and they just laughed. And even to this day, there'll be times where they'll bring up that story. So the point is that there was no science behind it, and we did dumb things to try and see what would work and what wouldn't. But nonetheless, we did used to go to the gym regularly during college. So the next stage was university, and university was pretty much very similar as well. Had a lot of free time, used to go to the gym constantly, but this time it was a little bit more structured, where I was trying to watch where I eat, but I'm a very, very fussy eater. So I won't eat salad and a number of other things. And yeah, I just used to literally grill pizza and fries and fish fingers in the oven every single day, and I just used to eat that. And my metabolism was quite good at the time, to be fair, so it wasn't that bad. And then I used to train in the gym, and it was a bit more structured, so I tried to look behind the science of what to train on what days and how many sets I should be doing and reps and the right way to do things, and doing cardio before and after as well. And usually I had a target to work towards, so if we were going on holiday, etc. So it was a bit more structured, but my diet wasn't great as well. So moving on to the next part of my life was moving to Saudi Arabia. So after I graduated, I tried a graduate scheme at an accounting firm, but very quickly, after about a couple of months, I realized it wasn't for me. And I applied for a CELTA course, got accepted, and I had a few friends in Saudi already that were telling me how great it was, and I flew over to Saudi within that year. And in Saudi, we lived in a place called Dammam. It was great. We spent a couple of years there, but at the time, Saudi was very, very underdeveloped. There was nothing there, and even where our accommodation was, it was literally empty. The only thing that was there was this huge gym, and it had everything in it, and it was male only, but it was huge. And it had all the weights you could think of. It had a swimming pool, it had a hot jacuzzi, it had a cold jacuzzi at the time as well. They had a very big area for doing sprinting and any other classes. They had classes going on as well every single day, several times a day, and it wasn't very expensive at all. And as with university and college, we had nothing better to do after school, after teaching, so we used to come home, go to the gym. And the other benefit was that the water in our building and generally in the area was really, really bad. By that I mean, there'll be some days where the water wasn't working at all. And when the water was working, sometimes it used to be brown, and it was just horrible. So when we joined the gym, we realized the water in the gym, it was filtered in some way, and it was very, very clean. So that was another reason why we joined the gym in the first place as well. So I was quite healthy at the time, keeping fit. Even though I was eating junk food, I was training every single day anyway, so I didn't see myself gain any weight. And that was Saudi Arabia. So after I came back from Saudi, it was a time of my life where I was looking to get married. And at the time I thought the only thing within my control is my weight and the way I look. At the time my hair was already balding slowly, so I knew that was going very quickly. I wasn't the tallest guy in the world as well, so the only thing I knew that was within my control was my weight. So I made sure that I was training regularly and making sure that I was eating right and I looked as best as I could. Alhamdulillah, eventually I got married, and that's when the decline began. So when I got married, I was, as every other couple, you're in that honeymoon phase, you're happy, nothing can go wrong. But I didn't realize the fact that I abandoned going to the gym. It just didn't even occur to me until maybe a couple of months on. But at the time, we were just in a honeymoon phase, going out all the time, my wife making me 3, 4, 5 meals a day. Whenever I asked for something, then she'd make it straight away. Even if it was at 1 a.m., I'd get fresh cut chips or fried food or wherever I wanted at the time. And very, very quickly, I started to gain weight. And I just noticed that my body wasn't looking the way it used to. And I just thought that I had a very, very quick metabolism, and therefore it wasn't going to be much of an issue. But at the time, there was no focus on health. I was happy, and probably subconsciously I thought, okay, I found someone that accepts me for who I am, and therefore, however I look, it doesn't really matter. And that's what I talked myself into believing at the time as well. And very soon after we got married, Isa was born. And that's when things changed. And that's when I knew that now I need to change my habits. This is a child that's going to be looking up to me. He's going to see me as a role model. And I had these thoughts in my mind subconsciously, but I did try to go to the gym. I started for a couple of months, but very quickly I stopped. I made excuses about why I did that, but eventually I realized it just took too much time in the day. Getting to work, coming back late for work, and going at night time wasn't something I really wanted to do. And the reality was that there was just too much distraction. Video games, watching movies, spending time with the wife. I didn't make it a priority. And therefore, that aspiration when Isa was born very quickly died. And I talked myself into believing that it's more important that I'm here spending time with him as he's growing up, rather than being at the gym all the time and wasting quality time. But the reality was, when you think about it, it's about 45 minutes in a day, even an hour if you're traveling to and fro. You don't need to spend an hour and a half in the gym every single day. You can do 45 minutes regularly, and that will still have the same effect. More importantly, you can diet. If you're dieting effectively, it won't take any time out of your day. It's just what you're eating is different. I remember a few years on, I joined a new school, Regent College, and a year into working there, some health professionals came. There was some event for the kids, and they wanted to make them more aware about, different types of things in terms of health-related issues. And one of the things they had was a section, a stall where they tested your body fat. And somehow one of my colleagues talked me into it. And when she did the tests and she gave me my results, it was very, very clear that I was way above what I should be. And she read out some statistics, and she read out some key factors that wasn't good, and basically just saying to me that the place where I am right now is very, very dangerous if I continue at the rate I am right now. And that was a wake-up call for me. But as with everything, it makes an impact for about a couple of days. Maybe you try to eat right, and then life takes a hold of whatever you need to do. Life gets in the way, and you move on and you live your life as you were, because these habits are so hard to break. Very soon after that, I joined another school at Crown Hills, and the school itself is amazing and the people that work there is amazing, but the best part about that, and I remember, and it's maybe changed now, is the food was great. So I remember that Thursdays we used to have burgers, and Fridays was fish and chips, and at break time they used to serve the same thing, like pizza and croissants. And the thing with the school was that if you volunteer to do a lunchtime duty, then what they'll do is they'll give you money on your card, which you use to buy food, and they'll pro-rata that. So what they do is, you say you want to do it, and then they'll give you the money for the whole year. It may have changed now, but for the whole year it's on your card. And therefore, as a Muslim, you don't spend money in Ramadan anyway, so that's 1 month gone. So you can use that money, and we just used to use it for everything. 3-4 slices of pizza, a couple of croissants, 3 burgers. I remember I bought 4 burgers once because the food was just so good. Fish and chips on Fridays. One of the problems was that one of the people I was eating the food with, they had a very, very quick metabolism. So even though they were matching what I was eating, they never used to gain a shred of weight. So subconsciously, I just felt it wasn't that much. But when you sit back and look at it now about how much I was eating at break time, at lunchtime, and then at home eating as well, junk food on top of that, I was putting on a lot of weight very quickly. It was just very oblivious to me at the time. And similarly, I was spending a lot of my time in the evenings unproductive. And I felt that was because of the way I was eating. And I don't know whether there's science behind it or not. I just felt so lazy, lethargic at home, waiting for the kids to sleep, then going and playing PlayStation with my friends. And while I'm playing, just eating junk food and vaping or smoking or whatever we were doing at the time. Smoking probably, because vaping wasn't out at the time. And I just felt that I just couldn't think properly. And even in school as well, I felt that it had a very, very big impact on who I was as a teacher, and also my reputation in the classroom. I remember clearly that I just used to get so tired getting off my chair and walking around the classroom, like physically out of breath, or the thought of it, I just couldn't muster up the discipline to just consistently do that. And today, there's something that I would always do because I want to get my steps in and ensuring that I get a certain number of steps every single day. But I don't feel that it's that much of a chore. But I remember at the time that affected everything, the way I was in the classroom, the energy that I had in the classroom, but also impacted my mental faculties as well. I felt that it just took a lot longer to complete tasks, so I wasn't as creative as possible. Or if I was given a task with a deadline, I'd wait right till the end because I was just so lazy to do it, or many times just forget that I even had something to do. And I just felt that the mindset I was in and the body weight that I had just together just made me such an unproductive person. And very quickly, I felt my reputation within that school wasn't a good one. Very soon after that, we went into COVID. So still working at the same school, but we were working at home now. And that just made things worse because instead of having to leave the home and go into the school and where we do some walking, we'd just go to my office or my home office at home, lock the door, and then for the rest of the day, we were just sitting there, teaching, eating food, snacks, watching things. And we were literally sitting on the chair for most of the day. And this was a time when my weight went higher than I've ever seen it. And I remember subconsciously, now that I thought about it, that there were times, a long period of time where I didn't even look in the mirror. When I knew that I was walking past a mirror or a mirror was coming, I'd avert my gaze or ensuring that I'm not looking at the mirror because I just didn't like what I saw. Well, I knew that what I was going to see was just going to, put me in a bad mood. And therefore, I tried to look away as much as possible. And I remember dreading the time when I had to take a photo. And it was just I just wasn't happy with looking at it. So subconsciously, I wasn't even looking in the mirror. And thinking about it now, that's crazy. And even that wasn't a big enough wake-up call for me. So in COVID, very soon after COVID started, a couple of months down the line, my second son was born, Adam was born. Once again, no motivating change. I genuinely felt that I was too far gone. I was in a hole, and no matter how much I tried, there was just no point. I was in a happy marriage, 2 beautiful boys, had a home, had a job, got paid well, paid the bills, had a bit left over at the end of the month. Why do I need to change? Yes, I do get tired and I wasn't happy with what I was seeing in the mirror, etc. But I had so much other things as well. So I tried my best to focus on the other things. Even though I was spending a lot of time in the evenings, not spending time with family, as soon as the kids were sleeping, I'd go on and play video games. So that is what I probably fed myself, to try to convince myself that I was still at a good place. This is what reminds me that at this time I was stuck in the beta region paradox. And if you've not seen my other videos, what is the beta region paradox is that when you're in a place where it's not fantastic, but it's not so bad either, you're just somewhere in the middle. Life isn't so bad that it's going to push you to change your habits and change who you are. And therefore, you're just stuck in the middle. And that is exactly where I was, stuck in region beta. Very soon after that, lockdown ended. And there were different types of restrictions, but eventually what happened was that we were allowed to go out to places. And we visited a theme park with a few friends. And I remember at the time, and it has been a long time since we went out, that I just remember at the time that I was just looking in the mirror and I was like, what on earth has happened to me? And I remember exactly what I was wearing at that time. And I was buying looser and looser clothing. So even my trousers were loose, obviously the waist size was going bigger and bigger. My t-shirts were large, extra large, relaxed fit, loose fit I was wearing. So I wore a loose fit black top. But even in that top, you can tell I just felt so uncomfortable, like I do not belong in this circle, because in that circle, alhamdulillah, everyone was still in good shape, and you could tell they looked after themselves in terms of appearance. And I was like, I'm just so out of place here, what am I doing here? And subconsciously, I remember that whole day I kept trying to pull my top down. And what I was trying to do at the time was stretch the top as much as I can so that it become looser and looser, and therefore the bulge on my stomach just wouldn't show. And it just wasn't happening. So wherever I was just doing that. I think I did that 100 times. And that was when I realized that something's got to change. Like, literally, I cannot be in the state that I'm in right now. Then I realized that something's got to change, I can't be in this state anymore, and enough is enough. And one of the things I did was, after that day at the theme park, I went home, told my missus that, look, this is what I'm going to do. And the reason why I wanted to tell someone is that I felt that there would be some accountability. So now I talked about not caring what people think, but what I tried to do was use it in reverse. So if I was going and telling people, okay, I'm going to start training now and losing weight, then I know that the next time they see me, they're going to be expecting me to continue to be doing that. And if they don't see me doing that, then I know, oh, what are people going to think of me? So it was a bit of a reverse psychology, but I told a couple of people and my friends that, look, I'm going to start joining. And coincidentally, at that time, I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw that there was a personal trainer in Leicester and they started doing this weight loss camp in the park. The guy is trained with Gaff, by the way. If you've not already seen him online, you should go follow him. Great guy. But I saw this post on Facebook and I thought, let's start. And luckily, one of my friends had already started that session anyway, so I thought, let's go. So 3 times a week, 7:30 a.m. and I never even used to wake up at that time unless I had to do work. And even then, it was literally 5 minutes before I had to sign in and then just stumble onto the PC and that was it. So 7:30 I was awake 3 times a week, and I think it was in summer holidays at the time, so I didn't have school, so I didn't have to worry about that. So the first session I went to was killer. I remember right at the end, I didn't even do the things properly because I was just too tired. But I remember right at the end, we used to do cardio, so we'd sprint to the tree and back several times. And Gaff was counting down from 5, and when he reached 1, everyone was bolting to the tree, and I just ran the other way, and everyone just turned around thinking, what's going on? I ran to the tree and I just threw up like mad. And at the time I realized that internally, if my body on the outside looks like this, I wonder the state of my body internally must be crazy. And I just threw up like I've never done before. But after that, I just felt great. Like, I don't know, I can't explain it, but I just felt so good after throwing up, because it just, in my mind, it just made me realize that I need to make a change. And what I'm doing right now, I'm pushing my body outside of its comfort zone, and that's a good thing. So it was difficult, but I was consistent. And we did one boot camp, and then we did another, and then very soon the gyms opened up. So I started doing a personal training with Gaff. I believe I did it for 3 months, and I needed to make sure I paid for 3 months up front, because firstly, I was holding myself accountable now because there was someone there every single week that was expecting me to show up. Secondly, I paid. So I know that I've made a financial commitment now, and even socially, I've made commitments to myself. But at that time, it was more importantly to other people. I was telling them that they're going to make a change. And I know when I was telling people that I was going to make a change, that many of them, by the way that they were acting, or just, you can just tell, your gut tells you that they don't really believe you're going to stick it out. And I just wanted to prove them wrong as well. So started training with him, and it was the best thing I've ever done. And if you feel like you're in a position where I was at that time, then the best thing you could do is get someone to manage your weight, whether that's physical, personal training, or even just accountable online. And even though you may find it expensive, nothing is more expensive than your health. And even if I had to pay 3, 4, 10 times the amount, I would have. That doesn't mean that you get to charge me more, Gaff, because that's done now. But seriously speaking, there's nothing that is more expensive than your health. And that's when all the good habits started to come. So I knew that consistently 3 times a week I was going to the gym. But just by going to the gym and speaking to Gaff, I realized that my diet needs to change. So I started using an app, and I can't remember, the thing is, it's not My Protein. I can't remember what the app was called, but you can literally take barcodes of items and it'll tell you exactly how many calories and carbs, etc., protein are in each product. And I just used to count my weight, count my calories. And very basic, I think it was like 2,100, so I had a deficit of 200 at the time, and I just made sure that whatever I was eating was under that. And like when you're fasting in Ramadan, the first couple of weeks is very difficult because your stomach wants more food, it's bigger. But very quickly you realize that you're okay, you don't really need to eat. And I used to counter my hunger a lot with just water, and it worked. So at the time, my diet, and like I said, I'm a very fussy eater. In the mornings I used to have a fruit milkshake with protein, then at lunchtime I used to have a sandwich, then protein shake, and then in the evening I'd have my main meal. And at that time, I just used to have eggs and toast, every single day for at least a couple of months. That's all I used to eat. And even the weekends, I very rarely had a cheat meal, because this was the time where I was trying to lose weight. So after the first 3 months, I did another 3 months just to ensure that all the habits were solidified. And full credit to Gaff at the time. I remember when I signed up for the second 3 months, he was very honest with me and just said, after this, you've trained with me for 6 months, you know what you're doing, your diet is great, you're holding yourself accountable, your discipline is building up, you don't really need to do PT after that. And that's what drove me on, because I knew that PT, especially face-to-face, may not have been sustainable for me where I was in my life at the time. And therefore I knew 3 more months and I'm good. And this is when slowly I started adopting the principle of Kaizen. So I was reading a lot more. I felt my mind was sharper. I was a lot more proactive in the classroom, at home as well, biking everywhere, spending more time with the boys and my nephews and the kids in my life, and adopted the principle of Kaizen, and this is funny enough, I learned this in school, where one of the philosophies that we were trying to embed was that whatever lesson that you have, we want to try to improve it by 1%. And this thing just really stuck in my mind, because I thought, that's so easy. If I did this every time someone came to observe me and I changed one small thing, every single lesson, in a couple of years, I'd be significantly better as a teacher. But if I can apply that to teaching, I can apply that to everything else. So when I did the research, I realized this is what this philosophy was. And it's probably called different things in wherever you find it. But I thought I could apply that in my life, whether that's reading, whether that's in training, whether that's being a father, a husband. I can apply that in everything. Incremental improvements consistently over time. So like I said, this is when my mindset changed. I was reading all the time. Before I went to bed, my sleeping patterns were a lot better. I started waking up way earlier. So if I had to wake up at 7, I'd wake up at 5:30 or 6, and I'd be on the computer getting work done. And then by the time 7 o'clock comes and the kids are waking up, I've already had a good portion of my time. And I realized that 1 hour felt like there was just so much more blessing in that time from 6 to 7, and I just got so much done. And I felt that a lot of the projects I was working on, they started thriving at that time as well, because I was working in the morning and then also in the evening as well. But not only that, my creativity, my punctuality, my vocabulary, my ability to get tasks done, had so much more energy. So if I had a task that I had to get done, I'd do it straight away to the best of my ability. And I just not wanted to get out of the way, but I wanted to make sure that I ticked that box, so then I could work on the other projects in the evening and had that time free as well. The biggest takeaway I want you to take from this is this. At the time, I convinced myself that it's better for me to spend time with the kids, gain weight, but because I was spending time with family, it was better for me. Or the fact that at the time, before I started training, that I was making a lot more money doing my side hustles and my projects after school, that I thought, it's fine, I've got money, so it's okay. But this is one of the quotes, and I'm just going to read it out because it's important the way I say it. And the quote goes, "How strange and foolish is man. He loses his health in gaining wealth. Then to regain his health, he wastes his wealth. He ruins his present while worrying about his future, but weeps in the future by recalling the past. He lives as though death shall never come to him, but dies in a way as if he were never born." Now from this quote, you can derive so many things, but the most important is that you can never get your health back. No matter how much money you try to put into health, after a significant time of being unhealthy, especially as you get older, you'll never be able to be as you were when you were younger. So make the changes before it's too late. So the next part of that journey, where I am now, was I realized that my reputation in Crowners was a great one. It was solidified, and no matter how much I tried, I believe that many people would have thought, this is just who he is, lazy. Even if I was to change, I think it'd be a lot more difficult. That's not the only reason why I moved to Dubai, but I knew in the back of my mind that was one of the reasons why, even if it wasn't at the school, I had to change and prove myself somewhere else and show that I could change and be better. There were a host of other reasons, and probably in a different video we can talk about the move to Dubai and why I did that and what life like is here, really, as a father, parent. But I always wanted to move to Dubai, and thankfully Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala found a way and everything just aligned, where my wife was on board. I applied for one job and I got that one. I had friends there already that was going to help me set up, and therefore very soon after that we moved to Dubai, and it was fantastic. It's a new environment where I had a chance to develop new habits, new routines. The friendship circle I was in, they were very health conscious. The way they ate, their mindset was very different as well from people maybe back in the UK. And we were playing sports all the time. So I was training, there was a gym within the building. So literally it's downstairs, 45 minutes, upstairs again. Playing paddle several times a week, football several times a week. And to this day, that's been consistent. Now I've reached a weight that I'm happy with. So I'm fluctuating somewhere between 69 kg to about 72, and I go up and down, and I'm happy with that. And therefore my calorie deficit isn't as much. So right now, the way that I train and the way I diet is as follows. So I'll try to do something every single day, 45 minutes, unless it's more, so football, paddle, etc. will take more time. But I'm in the gym 45 minutes every single day. And in terms of diet, I will meal prep. My breakfast is overnight oats, have a protein, and I'll have that about 1. Then I'll have a protein shake about 4 p.m. on the way out from work. And then I'll go to the gym straight as when I come home, or if I'm playing sports, then I won't do anything and I'll play sports later in the day. And then when I come home, I'll have a big meal. So for about 2 years straight, my main meal was just eggs and toast. That's it. It was a dream for my wife, and to be fair, I'm that kind of person where I can just eat the same thing every day, and for most people, that's probably stuff of nightmares. But if it tastes nice, food is just a source of nutrition for me. That's it. When I'm hungry, I just need to satisfy that hunger. It doesn't have to be gourmet or the best thing in the world. It doesn't matter to me. It just fulfills the function, so I'll just eat that. And that was for 2 years. Now I've relaxed a bit more, where in the evening, whatever my wife wishes to make, I'll just have that, and I'll just try to portion control that. My weight has stayed very similar. So Monday to Fridays, I'll diet in that way, and then Saturday, Sundays, I'll eat wherever I want, or I'll give myself permission to eat. And more often than not, what I realize is that when you have permission that you can eat whatever you want because you're at a calorie deficit of whatever for the week, most of the time you won't. And more importantly, you won't eat something where you know it's not going to be worth it. So we do have chocolate in the fridge, but I know that some of these chocolates, I don't even like it. So why am I going to eat that? I'll make sure that if I'm eating something, it's something that's really worth the calories. But if I know that I've got the option, most of the time I just won't take that option. So I'll have my porridge in the morning, and then we'll have a big meal at some point in the day when we go out for Saturday, Sundays, and that's fine for me. Or I'll have my cookies or whatever other junk food that I've got. So that's where I am at now. So some ending thoughts for you guys to take away from, and the things that motivated me the most. So I've tried to pick out the things that were very, very important to me, and the things that gave me the most motivation, and I'm hoping that it'll do the same for you. The first was the following quote, or the following mindset. So many parents say that I would die for my child. And the reality is, I believe you, these parents will. I believe every parent will die for their child. But would you live for your child? Would you get yourself healthy? Would you eliminate distractions? The way I see it is that if you want to die for your child, you'd only do that once, and that will last moments. But the real difficulty is living for your child, living in a healthy way, living in a positive way. The toxic traits that we've brought upon ourselves, living in a way where we don't pass that on to our kids. So all the negative things that we don't like about ourselves, why are we passing that on to our own kids? This is the exact same thing that goes for weight. You might think that, oh, my child is young, he's not gaining weight, he's skinny, he's got a fast metabolism, but he's watching single thing that you do. And very quickly, more often than not, that metabolism will slowly slow down. And if they eat the same rate as you eat, or the same rate that they see you eating, or have the same health habits that you do, then they're going to end up in the same cycle as you are, stuck in a pit, overweight, you can't get out. You try it for a few weeks, you give up, and you're right back where you were, square one, or worse. So yes, you say that you're going to die for your child, but the real challenge is, would you live for your child? The second thing for me, and most importantly, is actions speak louder than words. You can tell your child to eat healthy. How many mothers do I know that when a baby is young, they'll feed them the healthiest things. They'll steam their meals and organic food, etc. But for yourself, you're eating junk food. You're binging Netflix. You're overweight. But you're telling them they need to work out, they need to do sports, they need to eat healthy, they need to not do these negative things like backbiting or whatever else, but you're doing it yourself. And believe me, children will remember more what you do than what you say. And as they get older, they'll notice that there's a cognitive dissonance between what you're saying and what you're doing, and they'll call you out for it. If not verbally, subconsciously they'll know that whatever my mom and dad are saying, they're not really acting upon it themselves. So they're more likely to do what you are actually doing, the actions that you are actually doing. The last is, your child will become what you are, so you be what you want them to be. Okay, so you've listened to the whole podcast and you think, great story, Muhammad, very motivated, but you know what, for me, it's just too late to change. My story isn't the same as yours. I'm way more overweight. There's so many other excuses that we're going to make. And believe me, I've made the same excuses. I don't have time. I want to spend time with my kids. I work too late. I can't go in the evening. I can't diet. Whatever it is, I've got, some sort of eating disorder, whatever it is. When you think that, think of the following proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Yes, if you started dieting 10 years ago, you'd be in an amazing shape now, but you didn't. And therefore, the best time to start is now. And believe me, the best investment you will ever make and that you will never ever regret is your health. So change your health, change your life before it's too late. Thank you for listening.